Welcome to Solo Pro Radio. It's the only resource for self-employed professionals to grow their business. I'm Barbara Saunders, the Solo Pro Business Success Expert, and it's my mission to help brilliant creative solo pros go from floundering to flourishing. And I do that as the director of the International Association of Self-Employed Communication Professionals and as the founder of the Solo Pro Academy, where I have programs focused specifically on helping the Solo Pro build a profitable, sustainable, and scalable custom-fit business. Swing on by soloprosuccess.com and pick up your free Income Accelerator Success Kit. If you'd like to join us, zip on over to Solo Pro Radio on Facebook and like our page. You'll be able to ask questions and get to know our co-hosts and find resources to help you connect and grow. Today, my guest is Katrina Sawa, the Jumpstart Your Biz coach with JumpstartYourMarketing.com. Katrina is known as the Jumpstart Your Biz coach because she literally kicks her clients and their businesses into high gear. She works with highly motivated women entrepreneurs that want to maximize and fast-track their businesses to make more money, enjoy more free time. Katrina uses online and offline relationship marketing systems and strategies to leverage your resources, contacts, and your expertise. Plus, she kicks you in the butt to implement it all too. Get her free tips, free audio, and free report online at www.jumpstartyourmarketing.com/gifts. Welcome, Katrina.
Thanks, Barbara. I'm excited to be here.
Well, great. We're going to have fun today. You know, I always like to start out with your story. How did you end up in self-employment with your own business? Can you share maybe a little bit of your journey with us?
Do you want the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yeah.
I told my boss to you-know-what is what I did, and boom, I was an entrepreneur. That's
Good
the
for
short
you.
part of it.
Good for you.
The longer part was I was an advertising sales, so I was working with a bunch of small businesses every day, selling them ads into our local newspaper here in Sacramento, California. And I would find that there were so many problems with most of their businesses. They didn't have a website, they weren't doing email marketing, they weren't building a database, they weren't getting out of the office, they were working too much, they didn't have systems, so many different issues, right, beyond just what should you put in your ad, that I decided I needed to help this small business owner. So I went out and became a local marketing consultant. I would help a lot of little small business owners, and that was all before I learned about how to really leverage myself online. That was like 3 years into my business. So that's how I really got started.
That's really interesting. So you saw that people were really struggling, and they didn't even have a clue what their problem was, really.
No, they just were working too hard, and they weren't making as much money as they thought they would by now, right? The typical,
right.
Thing that most business owners go through. I was just dealing with most offline businesses, right? I was going door to door and going into retail stores and meeting people at chamber functions, and that's how I would get clients.
Right. So it sounds like you didn't focus on marketing when you started your business. It sounds like that was kind of your expertise before you even started your business.
It was. I was a marketing director at a retirement home. I sold advertising. I even did door-to-door sales. I've been in sales and marketing since I was 16 years old. So I've been, I knew the market. I knew the local market. I knew radio. I knew TV. I knew direct mail and print, advertising, and I didn't know a lot about the online world. I had a website when I first started, but it really didn't do anything, right? That was back in 2002, until I really found a mentor and learned about the internet marketing world and how to really do group programs and memberships and ebooks and audios and teleclasses and webinars and, have opt-in boxes and shopping carts. I didn't know any of that stuff when I first started.
All the fun stuff.
Well,
let me ask you, maybe this is a loaded question, but this intrigues me, that you started out really early in sales and marketing, and it sounds like it's very comfortable for you. What is that about that? Do you think that's a personality or characteristic that makes it easier for you than for a lot of other people who just kind of come to it kicking and screaming and later in life?
Of course. I know that I'm lucky, and very blessed to have that skill and like it, like the skill, right, of marketing and selling. I know the vast majority of people, especially people in their own businesses, aren't really familiar with that. Or even if you had a corporate marketing position, it's completely different than what you need to do to market yourself in your own business. So I've had a lot of people who, have those corporate marketing backgrounds or corporate sales backgrounds that think they're going to know what to do in their own business, and then a year or two into it, they get stuck because they can't do it like they used to do it in corporate. It's totally different.
It doesn't work, yeah.
I find myself very lucky to enjoy that part of it, because really, if you're in your own business, that's all you should be doing. Sales and marketing, with a little bit of service in between.
Thrown in. That really intrigues me. Do you think it's because, either maybe you started really early, or are you just a really extroverted person? What do you think that is that makes it so fun for you?
Well, I started early, and I'm an extroverted person, which, I've had introverted clients, too, who don't want to do it like I do it. I don't make everybody do what I do. There's always ways. But I also find that a lot of people that aren't comfortable with sales and marketing, it's usually, I'd say like 85% of the time, it's usually because they don't know what to say or what to sell or how to sell it. They don't know the how. They don't know the what to say. That will stop people dead in their track all day long. And so, one thing that I'm really good at is helping people with the what to say. And what to say, not in my words, but in their words. But while it's still being somewhat aggressive or persistent or consistent and not pushy and annoying, but you need to be somewhat aggressive. I work with a lot of creative types, right? They want to just, tell people what they have, and if they feel like buying it, they feel like buying it. Well, no, you need to, get them to buy. So we need to find the words that are going to be effective and also comfortable for you.
That really intrigues me. I specialize in helping my clients custom fit their business, and it really does intrigue me that it sounds to me a little bit like you help them get the focus off of them and their fears into what their clients need to hear in order to make the sale. Is that close?
Yeah, well, it's about figuring out, some people really know their target market when they come to me or when I meet them. They're very specific. This is who it is, this is what they want, this is their problem, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of people don't know exactly who their target is or what their main problems are. And, people are usually going to buy because they have a problem or they have a need or they have a want.
Right.
Okay? And so we have to figure out what those things are and throw them out there and then hope the person gets attracted to us because we're, identifying the problem that they have. And then they have to like, trust, and connect with us. And so that can happen online. It can happen offline, in person. It can happen on a teleclass, a webinar. It can happen in a speaking gig or on a sales page or in a video. It can happen in many different ways. So you do have to know how to communicate effectively to your target audience with the words that matter to them.
That's huge.
Necessarily what you want to tell them. So you got to sell them what they want and then give them what they need a lot of times.
That's huge, great advice. Let me ask, your business is called Jumpstart Your Business or Jumpstart Your Marketing. Do you find that one piece, the marketing piece, or communicating clearly to your clients about, how your solution fits their needs, is that, kind of generally the one thing that is holding people back?
A lot of times, the thing that's holding them back is what to do. I was just on a call with a new client, and her basic need was she was in overwhelm. She has all these things she wants to do. She had a whole list of things that she could potentially delegate, things that needed to get done in her business. Some of them she was doing. So she needed to get out of overwhelm. that overwhelm often stops people. For her, it was like she was a workaholic.
Right.
So she would chug at it all and get it all done eventually, but she didn't have balance. She was just working too much. Other people see this list of things that they need to do or have been told they need to do, and they just do nothing. They go into hiding because they freeze. So because they aren't sure which to do first, second, or third, and so they just don't do anything rather than just chunking off something off the list regardless.
I totally agree with you. So you work with your clients kind of to stop and prioritize what needs to be done, and then do you actually train them on what they need to do?
Oh, yes. And so I'm all about the how. So we have to look at the big picture. Where do you want to be? What are your main goals? And how can we, and what do we need to do to get there? And then we have to chunk it down to the smallest steps, like even doing a radio show like this.
Mm-hmm.
How do we record it? What kind of format do we get on? How do we market the radio show? Who's going to actually get the guests? Who's going to post the tweets? Who's going to, you know what I mean? So it's all those little intricacies that need to happen to make your radio show a smooth-running machine, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I want to give kudos to you for that, because I find that so many of my clients come to me and they're frustrated because, they see all this stuff on the internet telling them, they should do this, they should do that, they should do teleseminars, they should do, whatever. And they listen and they try and learn, but nobody's telling them, okay, what you need to do to make it happen.
Right, the steps, the how.
So I think that is
I'm
so
all about
huge.
the how. That's an implementation. So let's get her done.
Definitely. Well, kudos to you for that. Let me ask you, was that the focus of your business from the beginning when you started out in like 2002, or did you come by that by seeing people that's what they needed?
No, I was doing the how way back when, because even when I was selling advertising, people would give me, to run a small ad, they would just give me their business card, their actual business card, and they wanted me to scan it in and run it as an ad. Right, and I would laugh at them, going, that is not going to bring you any business. I'm not going to take your $200 and your business card and go run that in the paper, because you're not going to get any business. So let me tell you what you're going to put in your ad, and this is what it's going to say, and this is how we're going to do it. And I recommend going just a smidge bigger and do it every week, and this is going to bring you results, and this is why.
Isn't that funny?
No. Right.
Getting rid of some of the background noise here. It really intrigues me, that there are so many small businesses that really do think that way. They're still so almost oblivious to the things that are really necessary to get business in today. Why do you think that is?
Well, because they're too busy to really strategize.
So they're working in their business and not on it.
Yeah. They're working in the business, not on it. So when you can step away from your business and actually strategize with someone who has bigger ideas, who thinks about doing things differently, who could automate, who has ways you could sell other things, and, you're like the gal I was just talking with was like, oh my God, I can do that, I got all these ideas, and look at all this. So I actually overwhelmed her more. But then with all the other things she could be doing, in addition to what she was already overwhelmed with, however, we whittled it down to the next 3 steps, and here's the 2 people you hire to get out of overwhelm first. So we did end up with a resolution to the overwhelm at the end of the call, but I had to, finagle it a little bit so we could get to some other things, because there's a lot of times people are in overwhelm, but they also don't see how to make the money. So we got to focus on where's the money, where's the fastest path to cash. Too, a lot of people, small business owners, don't focus on the money. They just think, well, I need a client, but they don't think of how many clients they need to make the goals they need to make.
That is a really great point. And especially if they're focusing on just an hourly kind of business model, that can get them in trouble real quick.
Yeah, an hourly business model. Or they're just thinking, well, I need to get a client. And I'm like, well, how much is a typical client for you? Oh, it's, $500. Okay, and how much do you want to make every month? I want to make $10,000. Okay, so if you need to make $10,000, you need to sell 20 clients at $500 to make $10,000 every month. How many clients are you selling now? Oh, 4. Okay, so how are we going to get you from 4 to 20? Or how do we sell something different that can get you a $2,000 sale instead of a $500? So you only need 5 clients at $2,000 instead of 20 at $500. So they just aren't thinking in that manner. They're thinking $500 client, $500 client, $500 client, right?
Right.
Heavy breathing over everybody. They become their $500 client when they could just think about it doing it differently.
Well, and that kind of brings me to my next question for you. You know, so many small businesses or solo pros go into business, thinking that they're just going to kind of replicate the job they left behind in corporate America. And I love that. I went and visited your store on your website, and you've got so many interesting products, and you do private coaching, and you do group coaching, and you do speaking. How did you go from there, from your first job, as an ad person to thinking, I'm going to create this really a scalable business? What was your pathway that brought you along there?
The only way I knew how to do that was hiring mentors that were already doing it. I would never have known otherwise, because I was going too.
Right.
I was in the business to get clients, and I was just going. Networking event, follow up. Phone, do the work. Networking event, phone, follow up. Get the client, do the work. Eat, sleep, and drink, getting clients, and that's it. I didn't think about what else. So I was in that boat too. I was open to other opportunities. So the good thing I was listening to speakers, I was going to workshops, and I was growing in that way. So eventually I would have found it. I had a friend who introduced me to my first mentor who was doing all of the stuff that I teach now and have. So who was doing the ebooks, who was doing the audios, who was doing the live events, who was doing the group programs, who was doing the masterminds, and all of that stuff. And as soon as I saw what she was doing and what she was charging, and she had the same business as me, marketing basically, I'm like, oh my God, I can do this. This is how I grow. I had no idea. So I immediately came home from her first workshop where I was introduced to her and got rid of all my clients. Fired all my clients on retainer.
I love that
because I knew I had to change the business model. I couldn't do it while I was working with them. I told my husband at the time, I said, look, we need to eat top ramen for 3 months while I change this business, whatever it is, to save money, because I'm not going to be bringing in a lot of money at the moment because I got to get rid of these clients that are sucking me dry, and I'm going to do it this way instead. And so within 90 days of coaching with this person, I transformed everything. I had a group program. I had free teleclasses. I started doing audio recordings. I had a membership program. I had doubled my rates for coaching. I had higher packages. I wasn't just trading hour for dollar. I had a package and groups. And so, within 90 days, I was making more than I was before, and I wasn't working nearly as much, right?
Right. I love that story, and I hope I want to just take a second to kind of alert our listeners to really highlight and listen to what you just said. I love that because first you got rid of the clients that were sucking you dry. I love that phrase because it's so true. They tend to, our and the clients tend to kind of want a little more and a little more without paying for it. So they really do drain you dry. But you kind of stopped. You took the time to reformat your business. And, above all, you invested in getting some, working with a mentor on your own business. I think that's just brilliant, and that's exactly what we want people to do. And
I didn't have the money to do it at the time either. I mean, I could barely make it to the workshop I went to where I, met the gal. So.
And it can be scary, especially that first investment. Is this going to be worth it? So many solo pros are really scared to spend money on their own development. Let me ask, what was your first, you said you kind of moved into coaching and doing some training and group programs. What was your first product and what brought that about?
Let's see. What I did was I did a free teleclass once a month. This is a great marketing strategy for most business owners, is just hold a free teleclass once a month on a free conference line. Pick a topic, right? I actually wrote out the top 12 topics. This is an exercise that I tell all my clients to do. Pick the top 12 topics in your business. So for me, it was email marketing, website, graphic, marketing material design. It wasn't social media at the time because it wasn't around, right? It was networking, it was follow-up, it was some other things, right? So I picked the top 12 topics, and I just plotted a free teleclass on the calendar once a month for the next year. And I could have developed a product faster, but I chose to do the free teleclasses because I was more interested in list building than a product, because a product's not going to sell if you don't have a list. So, the point is not to develop a product and hope it sells. I didn't do it that way. So after the 12 months, I think I did a 13-month with a bonus call or something like that. And then that became my first product, which was my Jumpstart Your Marketing Small Business Starter Kit.
Okay.
So those 12, 13 teleclasses became my first product. And most people, my teleclasses are different than most. Most teleclasses you go to, you get the what and the why, but you don't get the how. So putting it into a paid product is not that helpful because you're just trying to sell them a bunch of stuff, right? So, but my calls at the time were very content-driven. I mean, I gave everything I know into that one call about email marketing, everything I know about quick follow-up into that one call. To this day, I still give those calls out because they're still valuable and pertinent, for the most part. I'm not really selling that product anymore. It needs, I have new products now, but that's how I developed the first one. But you could develop a product faster. It's just not usually the first thing I recommend people do because they don't usually have enough people to go buy it to where it's worth it. So I'm more about group programs and funneling people into different types of interactive things that you can record and then become a product, but just to create an ebook or an audio is useless unless you have a big following to go buy it, in my mind.
That really shows some of your strategy savvy there, that first you need to build the list, or at least build a following. Let me ask a little bit, things have, evolved and changed online the last 15 years. Do you feel that email lists are as valuable as they used to be maybe 7 years ago?
I think you still have to be doing email marketing. I want my clients to spend the least amount of time developing content for their emails, however. So we want quick and easy, down and dirty emails. Okay. Because less and less people are opening them. So it used to be where I used to spend 3 hours writing an email newsletter way back when with the perfect article and the right this and the right that, right? Now I spend maybe 20, 30 minutes doing a video, adding some stuff in my introduction, putting the promo things in for the events or whatever's happening, and then I'm done. Bye-bye, right? So it's a 5 to 10 minute video of content. I can talk a lot easier and faster than I can write. Some people can write a lot faster than they can talk. So it's whatever's easier for you, in my mind. But spend less time doing it and just do them more frequently because, people will see maybe 1 out of 6 of your emails.
That's really great advice. That's kind of been what I've been finding as well. I wanted to ask, too, so do you encourage them to build their online communities, say Facebook and LinkedIn, with that time they've saved taking off their newsletter time? What's your thought on that?
Definitely. Social media is huge. I treat it a little differently than a lot of other social media experts out there. Because I come from the offline marketing world, I'm really networking oriented. So I'm face-to-face networking. That's how I built my business. So I've taken that approach and done that on Facebook and LinkedIn especially. because you can actually have conversations with people on those sites. Whereas Twitter, I don't deal too much with Twitter because I can't say anything in 140 characters that's useful. So I do very little on Twitter, where some people love it, right? But I'm getting paying customers and speaking opportunities through Facebook and LinkedIn because I'm holding conversations one-on-one with people. But I have a system on how to do that more effectively that you can even delegate the initial conversation.
Really?
And then once the conversation gets going, then you interact with the person, and then you drive them. You take them offline. You have to get them off of these sites into your email newsletter list or into a phone call where you can see if or how you can help each other. To just leave your followers on Facebook is the biggest mistake people are making these days, because you have no control over Facebook, none. They could change it tomorrow. You could lose all your followers. You could lose all your fans on your business page. You could lose all the people in your group. They could decide to change it and not even tell you. Then what are you going to do? If you're relying on that for your business or clients, whatever, you better have a place that you can control, either in your website or a membership site or some other place that you can control to control those interactions.
You know, that's great advice, because you really don't own anything on Facebook or on LinkedIn. You can download your LinkedIn contacts. People are spending hundreds or thousands of dollars like branding themselves on these sites. It's ridiculous. Mm-hmm.
Don't, put a little picture up there and be done. Make it match your website, but be done. Because they could change it tomorrow. When they added the timeline thing, I was like kicking and screaming over there, because I was like, oh my God, you're kidding me. Now I have to go get a graphic designer to design me some stupid thing to put on the top of this thing that's not even my own website. Right?
Funny. Yeah,
ridiculous.
You're right. And
all
that's
these people
really
started cropping up to develop Facebook, banners, and they wanted $300. I think it's ridiculous. Ridiculous.
That's great advice.
I'll say it one more time, ridiculous.
I love that strategy, to pull them into your website and get them onto your list with some valuable treat or something too, so that you do own them and you can.
Phone call. Not enough people are communicating by the phone.
Oh, you're right.
Really, that's where the big money is. That's where the big joint ventures happen too. Okay?
That's interesting. So you get people on your Facebook page or your LinkedIn on the phone, and then you experience the relationship in a deeper way.
Yes.
Well, I wanted to ask too,
I
was really intrigued that you do a lot of speaking. Is that something that you, again, started out wanting to do? Did it evolve? Are you finding that that's a significant piece of your business? It's kind of a different, interesting business model.
Well, it is. Right now, I would tell you it's the number one way that I get high-paying clients. The number one marketing strategy. There's two types of speaking, though. A lot of people will come to me and say, I want to be a motivational speaker. And they think they're going to get paid $5,000 or $10,000 or $20,000 to speak for a keynote.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
no,
that's not really a business model anymore. I mean, it is. Some people are getting paid that, but it's going to take you a while to get to that level, if you even get there. And so I would not rely on your income for you to sell that. Unless you come to me with a book and all this following and you have a lot of expertise and credibility and you're already 10 years into your business, okay, then we can totally make you a paid speaker. But a paid speaking is a business model, whereas speaking for free and then getting people on your list or selling in the back of the room, that's a marketing strategy. So you can speak as a marketing strategy or speak for a business model to get paid. Everybody wants to get paid to speak. That'd be great. But I think I've only got paid maybe 3 times in 11 years.
That's a great differentiation to make.
Yeah, most speaking gigs are free. And so you want to wrap your head around the fact that you need stuff to sell in the back of the room. You need to design your talk in order to drive people to take an action with you and get on your list or do this or do that. But the question you asked was I always doing this? Did this evolve? Oh, my God. When I first started my business, I didn't want to speak, although I was very outgoing in networking situations. Right. To get me to speak in front of a group, oh, my God, I was scared to death. And even my first few years and first few speaking opportunities, I can't even watch a couple of them on video. I can't even watch a video because it's like, oh, my God, I can't believe I did that. Or, oh, my God, look at me. Or, oh, my God, I can't believe I said that. Or I was looking at my notes, or I was, lost my lines, or forgot what I was going to say. Oh, it's horrible. It was, it's not an easy thing to do. But what first stopped me in the beginning was I didn't know what to talk about. I didn't know, I have these teleclass topics, and I could talk about this, and now I can talk about anything because I'm more experienced. You could give me a topic today, I could probably talk for an hour. I could talk for an hour about LinkedIn. I could talk for an hour about blogging. I could talk for an hour about video. Anything, just give me a topic, I got to talk for an hour. Most people can't do that because they just don't have as much experience teaching it or coaching on it or stuff like that. So we have to figure out what it is you're going to talk about and then teach you. So now I have a speaker program. So it's just this year I started teaching people. I mean, I've been teaching people how to be a speaker and develop their stuff, but I finally put it all into a program, this year. Other people are teaching it too, but because it's the number one marketing strategy that myself and most of my clients use.
Well, that's really excellent. I think that you're dead on, that when you get more confidence in what you're talking about, again, and you know who you're talking to and you know what their needs are, you don't have to focus on you so much. It just flows a lot easier.
Correct. Yeah, it makes it a lot easier when you get clarity around what you're selling, what you're speaking about, what you're doing in your marketing, all of that stuff. I mean, it can make a huge difference.
Well, that is excellent. I really love that tip for our listeners. I want to take a moment to remind our listeners that you're listening to Solo Pro Radio. I'm your host, Barbara, the Solo Pro Business Success Expert, and my guest today is Katrina Sawa, the Jumpstart Your Biz Coach with JumpstartYourMarketing.com. Let's jump back in. I love that you have some really interesting tactics and strategies that you teach your clients on how to keep how to get their business working, without them doing all the work. How do you spend your time in your own business to keep it all rolling? Would you mind sharing?
Yeah, well, I have bright, shiny objects and huge ideas that come to me every single day, just like everybody else. The difference is I spend a lot of time figuring out how to implement them and then delegate them. As we speak, not as we speak, but what's on my plate today is to figure out how to really customize a group program that I'm doing, and I need to delegate some of that off to an assistant. So, it's thinking how to automate stuff better. Like the client I was just discussing, I was showing her on her website, for example, so you have these free things on your website, but they're not opted in for. You're missing out on subscribers by not having them on a landing page. It's just this little holes and opportunities is how I describe it.
Okay.
Like I am good at filling holes and finding opportunities for people in their business. And I do that for myself every day, though, too. So I'm looking at a web page of my own, and I say, I see where I could add this or change that, or we could link this over here and to be faster. Or I need to change this thank you page or this autoresponder so that people get this stuff automatically and it funnels them into this next step. I catch things like that all the time for other people. Sometimes it's harder to do it on myself, right? Which is why I hire mentors occasionally now, too, still to find those holes and opportunities. So it's figuring out how to get it all done myself and then how to delegate it, automate it, or systematize. So I'm constantly doing that.
So you're delegating. You have a team. Would you mind sharing with us what your team looks like? Who do you work with to delegate?
I delegate, there's probably a lot. There's a lot of different things. The initial social media connecting.
Right, setting up accounts and
with
stuff.
My messaging system. A lot of the marketing posts on social media. So if I'm holding a free teleclass or doing a book launch or launching a particular program or I'm a speaker on somebody's telesummit or something that we need to promote, everything that has to be promoted is usually done, the social media stuff is done by my assistant, because I don't need to have my hands on that. Okay,
copy and
so
paste.
if I create the opt-in page, and I'll write copy, so I'm really good at writing copy, so a lot of people aren't. So that's one strength, thank God I have. But I write the copy for the opt-in page or the email newsletter blurb, and then my assistant takes that and just runs with it. So she'll create posts from it and blog posts, and then I do the videos too. So the video, I do the content development, basically.
Okay.
The assistants do everything else to make sure it runs smoothly. So I did a free teleclass, and one of my assistants who does my shopping cart does the reminder emails that go to the people who've registered, and also the follow-up emails to the people who were on the call or who registered for the call. So all of those need to happen, but I don't need to do it myself. Does that make sense?
Definitely, definitely. So you're creating the content that goes in the emails, but then you're having a VA or an assistant do the actual posting it out where it needs to be. And that makes sense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I still do my own email newsletters, but a lot of the other, and the email marketing stuff, but any of the reminders or follow-ups or standard things that need to go out will be done by somebody else.
Excellent. That makes so much sense. And it sounds like you've been doing this for a long time. You said in 2002 you were kind of working on this. Let me ask you, is there anything that you would have done differently if you knew today, then, as you were starting? Is there something that you would have done differently?
Yeah, two things come to mind. The first thing is I wish I would have found the mentor that I found 3 years into my business in the beginning. Would have made a lot more money faster. So it's just, you don't know what you don't know, right? So, you're at the mercy of the universe putting this in front of your face. Mm-hmm. The second thing was I wish I wasn't so stubborn. I was really stubborn. I'm very, confident and stuff like that, and I was stubborn, thinking that it needed to be my way when I should have followed somebody else's path first, probably, rather than doing it my way, because they've already been there, done that, and they're making money at it, so why am I arguing with them and doing it my way? So I was stubborn for a couple of years in there. When I had mentors and when I was paying big bucks, I was stubborn. I could have been a lot farther faster had I not done that. So I was in my own way.
That's really interesting.
Like so many of us are.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, getting out of our own way is kind of the biggest deal, I think, sometime in growing our business. Well, I'm intrigued. Earlier you had mentioned that you have your own shiny objects that sometimes get in the way. Do you have sort of a mantra or a system that kind of reviews those shiny objects and tells you which ones you might look at and which ones to discard? I'm interested in how, in your thought process and in the things that you decide to work on.
I'll tell you, the number one way that I make decisions is usually by my intuition and my gut.
Really?
So
that's great.
I didn't always listen to my gut. I didn't really even know it was there guiding me at one point. I wasn't very into the universe and all that stuff. I didn't really believe. I was very practical. I'm still very practical and realistic, but I also believe in the universe does things for a reason. I believe that, we're on our path and things happen for a reason, and everything's meant to be. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so I am much more open to listening to what comes in now than I ever was. So, and I'm usually pretty right on that, and that goes for what to do in my business, which programs to offer, what pricing to use, how many times to send an email to promote something. I mean, I get it in my head, and boop, that's what I do. I don't judge it. I don't question it. Every once in a while, I might survey it out to a few friends and say, what do you think? Mm-hmm. That's usually on the graphic part of it. So if I'm redesigning or something, or like the cover design for my book took 3 or 4 months because we went through 20 different cover designs because I couldn't find something that I liked and other people liked. And it was, I was really surveying that out. So a lot of the graphic stuff I actually get surveyed because you don't necessarily just want, you to make the decision on what your brand is. Mine is, because it needs to resonate with your target audience. So sometimes we're in our own little box and we don't see that we didn't make up something that resonates with our audience. So I think that's important to get some advice on.
And visuals are different. You said earlier that copywriting comes easier for you, words come easier for you. So that doesn't surprise me that the visuals kind of tend to be the thing that you need the second opinion on. I find that interesting. Well, brilliant.
Right, because I question it myself. I'm like, I don't know if I like it, will it resonate, and.
And a lot of times, we come up with this really imaginative, sometimes vision or visual that on second thought really wasn't that good. Happens to me all the time. I totally relate. Well, Katrina, tell our listeners how working with you starts. What's that like? If they'd like to maybe tune in and check out working with you.
It's if you jump in one-on-one or in my mastermind, it's fast-paced. I can tell you that. We're not, we're going to move it. If I have some people who have a job, so they can't work as many hours on their business as they'd like to, but we still move pretty fast for them, and we book their time. If you get into group programs or something like that, or a do-it-yourself product or program, you can work more at your own pace. So they call me the Jumpstart Your Biz Coach because that's what I do. If so, you do have to be serious about wanting to grow your business. And it doesn't mean you have to know exactly what you want to do. A lot of times we have to figure out what you're going to do and what you're going to sell and charge, and we have to start from ground zero. And that's okay. You definitely want to get with somebody, though, that can brainstorm different options for you and business models before you decide. Because what if you decide on the wrong thing? My very first business coach, who I hired 3 months before I quit my last job, I just hired her for a couple sessions just to see. I didn't know I was going to quit my job in 3 months. But I was throwing at stuff I like to do marketing. I also like to make gift baskets. What if I did a gift basket company, right? Oh my God, if I did a gift basket company, I'd be so broke right now, and I'd have so much inventory in my garage that I wouldn't know what to do with, right? It's just bad business model decision for me and frankly most people, because they just want to get creative, right? I just like to create and design, and okay, where's the money? Where's the money in that?
I love that. That is one of my kind of pet peeves, is the trying to turn the hobby into the business. So I'm so glad that you brought that up. That really is a huge stumbling block for some people as they're just getting started.
I don't miss doing gift baskets at all whatsoever, let me tell you. And if I ever wanted to do a gift basket, I could give them to my high-end VIP clients. I'll go create 10 of them and send them off, right?
Right. Something
get my creativity in if I wanted to.
There you go. There you go. So, Katrina, let me know, is there any events coming up that you can let our listeners in on? Is there something happening this fall that you'd like them to know about?
Yeah, this year I decided that instead of a one-time 3-day event, I did 4 one-day events.
Oh, okay.
They're in the Sacramento, California area. Okay. I have 2 more left this year. There's one on September 6th and one on November 8th. And they're all on the webpage under events and teleclasses, or under my, under events and teleclasses. But, so if you're local or if you're somewhat close by, you're welcome to come to one of those. And on the webpage, it tells you all the topics, because there are different topics for each one.
Okay.
I broke down my 3-day and I broke up the content that I was teaching in that into 4 smaller content-oriented ones. So if you're more virtual, you like virtual trainings, I have my 6-figure business makeover program starting in October. It's a 6-week, all open Q&A, 90-minute calls for 6 weeks where I'm working with 20 people or less. I don't take any more than 20 people in this program because I want to make sure that you get what you need and this person gets what she needs and he gets what he needs in order to move your business forward faster. So sometimes we're talking about shopping carts, sometimes we're talking about email marketing, sometimes we're talking about social media, sometimes we're talking about program development, sometimes we're talking about pricing or mindset. It doesn't, it's going to apply to everybody in the program, but everybody's going to be at a different stage usually, and it's been really successful. So I'm launching that again in October, and so that's a virtual training.
Oh, excellent. And they can all be found at jumpstartyourmarketing.com?
Yep. Yeah.
Excellent.
Group programs are under coaching, and that's where you'll find one-on-one, and I have an ongoing membership program that's a low-end, get your feet wet kind of a thing, but this six-figure one is to move fast. I have a speaker training that's just ending, but it's going to be put into a box. So there's a lot. Sometimes people are just overwhelmed with what I can do, and so just come to a call with me, and let's figure out if it's a good fit, and then what's the best route for you to take. So in the free gift page that you were saying is really the best place to start. Just go get some free stuff. Listen to the audios. You'll get a better feel for some of the things I teach, and then fill out the questions to come and talk to me in a complimentary session where we'll figure out if it's a good fit and where to start and what works for you.
Okay, great. And that is at jumpstartyourmarketing.com/gifts.
It's actually free gifts, /free gifts.
Free gifts.
Different pages.
Okay,
There's
free
two different
gifts.
pages, but the free gifts one gives you more stuff.
There you
I
go.
could give away that. I'm talking, yeah. The gift page gives you 3 gifts, where the free gifts page gives you 5 gifts.
Go for that one, people.
It's strategy. Secret strategy I have for different landing pages, and you want to do that too, because when you're on radio show interviews or different interviews online, you need to be able to send people to a private hidden page. So that's what I do. Don't just go get the free stuff, but watch how I take you through a process.
That's an excellent tip. That's an excellent tip. Well, Katrina, this has been so much fun, and you have just so generously shared so much wisdom with our listeners today. I want to make sure we mention your URL again. It's jumpstartyourmarketing.com, and you can grab gifts at either /gifts or /free gifts. To grab
free
some.
Free gift gives you everything that's on the gifts page, so you're good.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I want to thank you so much for being with me today. It's just been really a lot of fun and a lot of brilliant information. So kudos.
No, you're welcome. I love to give as much as I can. I think it's important. There's a lot of free information online, but not a lot of it is really, really helpful to what people really need to grow their business.
Well, and that's it. The how-to is the gold. That's really what we need. Anymore. Well, excellent. You've been listening. Yeah, true. I agree. You've been listening to Solo Pro Radio here on soloproradio.com. And listen in again next time when we are going to have some more really brilliant Solo Pro business wisdom for you. Bye-bye for now.